I'm working on a collection that so far is about 18 fragmented essays. I think probably all you need to know about this piece is that I know the murderer and the person who was murdered. The year Sam murdered me, I was too busy to be afraid. Warning signals simply did not snag on the pulled tight surface of my days. The divorce pending, I was working. Sam was looking for work. 2 children in elementary school, the youngest in kindergarten, and 1 in middle school, meant a slew of after-school activities, homework to supervise, team uniforms to launder, clothes to buy, hand-me-downs to update, meals to prepare. My nephew moved down to help me cover the bases. Sam had always been deferential on matters concerning the children. He rarely expressed opinions and stood to the side as I took on the obligations, chores, and over time, the bills. Most anyone in our small town, you ask, would tell you the children were, in most every sense, mine. At least one of the children spent time each week with Sam during the 9 months of our separation. Our son, the youngest, would bound down the stairs as soon as his dad's noisy Jeep was in earshot. The same sound would send the older of our 2 daughters into hiding in her closet to avoid going, or if time permitted, have her coaxing a friend to go along. I watched their reactions quietly, certain that it was not my part to thwart either the 6-year-old's inclusion of Dad in his pantheon, or the 12-year-old's proclivity to question authority. Our younger daughter, the middle child, typically went along with her characteristic charm and can-do attitude. Sam was not an easy read. Content being alone, at times guarded about closeness, he stood 6'3", a foot taller than I, broad-shouldered and sinewy strong, olive-skinned and instantly tan at the first hint of summer, his shock of straight, dark hair intensifying what was at work behind his unflinching gaze and set jaw. Physically, we were a pair in contrast. I, fair-skinned, strawberry blonde, freckled. When his mood was sociable, he was a big talker, which made it easier to assume that he did not plan to follow through on his final promises to me, to solve our problems with the .357 Magnum, to let me have one more Christmas, and to spare my face. I had begun walking on the beach for exercise and for time to think as many days after work as things at home would permit. Those days I would leave my job keeping the books for the grocery store in town, a good job in a good place with good bosses, and get homework, laundry, and supper started, and I'd slip on my sneakers, put tunes in my ears, and walk at a brisk pace. The white sand of the beach is deep in spots, and the rake steep. The first few minutes of my walk were always intensely physical. I moved quickly and dug my shoes into the sand, the rhythms of the Embers or the Drifters or Maurice Williams and the Zodiacs in my ears, blood pumping until I had broken a good sweat and could feel, even on the hottest days, a cooling breeze across my forehead and neck. When physical exertion had cleared my head, thoughts of possibilities on the smallest things would seep in. Ways I might take care of one of our son's school concerns, or how I would add something bright to make the hand-me-down blouse from my good friend's older daughter look perfect on our middle child. She was growing so fast that year. Some days I would slow down, take off my socks and shoes, and walk along the edge of the water, take out the earphones and tuck the Walkman in my pocket or under my sweatshirt to protect it, and stand in the water enjoying the spray. The world would stop for a moment to show me its beauty, and I stopped to see it. In these small snippets of time alone on the beach, the otherwise imperceptible changes of my life became clear, and I could fathom the depths, resurface and navigate through another evening, another 24 hours. These moments, strong, thick, and rich, seemed to extend without boundaries. On the beach, clear with my thoughts, I felt energized by the specter of change and what it would require of me. Our marriage had become oppressive and negative for both of us, and as unsettling as it would be to push for change, I needed to for all of us. I began the process of legal separation leading to divorce. Marriages being social contracts, there would be a way to do things that would involve others beyond the two of us or even the five of us. I was raised to expect a certain directness in behavior and speech, and yet, at the same time, growing up, propriety was served up every night at our dinner table with meat and 2 vegetables, predictably overcooked. On Sunday, it was dinner at the country club with an ever-present side of social interaction. In both settings, wide berth was given to silence. Manners depended on it. Nothing good to say, we were taught, say nothing. Our comfortable Southern white girl optimism was undergirded by and dependent on a conspiracy of propriety and silence that seems absurd now in this see something, say something world. And yet behind closed doors, just the two on the top of the cake, the dynamics continue, and not only for comfortable or Southern or American or white or girls. Fear sits in you for a reason, in the gut, near intuition, hardwired to your vitals. Once you acknowledge fear in the system and its cause, you can work on whether to pay it mind or suck it up. Unacknowledged fear seeps through membranes and crosses boundaries and serves neither judgment nor action. You must see and engage what walks in the door with sandy bare feet, opens your fridge that used to be, in fact legally still is, half his fridge, and pulls out a cold Miller in a can, the beer he has always liked that you keep there now because you are trying to be nice in light of the stress you are both feeling, as well you should, especially you, since you are the one that is given, who has set about ending this 17-year marriage that has given you 3 beautiful, yes, truly beautiful, smart, kind, and capable children. In 1995, for me, divorce was a misfortune, for some a failure to be handled with grace, every effort to make the unseemly less so, and for goodness sake, a face-saving hush where violence was intimated, demanding slabs of propriety pressed down against the molten, fiery, not to be mentioned. The lawyer with whom I met in 1995 to file for divorce, the one to whom I turned for legal guidance and to whom I came the closest to voicing fear, said what he considered commonplace and common sense. "Little lady," he began, "every woman who wants a divorce thinks she is either abused or neglected. Just remember, one woman's abuse is another's delight." Savvy in plenty, I was an ingenue, a naïf in matters of divorce. I was working my way through unfamiliar terrain for what I saw as important, possibly prosecutable reasons. His first words suggested I was vastly more ignorant than I had assumed, while infantilizing me with diminutive little lady. What terrible things that need to be uttered can be when a person of authority calls you baby, honey, doll, love. I had spoken my fear that I was being abused and that it might get worse than I had been corrected. He was a respected legal professional, presumably more acquainted with matters of marital discord and its associated paths than I. I took heed and assumed my fears were baseless. I left his office ashamed, strangely embarrassed for having suggested that I might be a victim, and freshly determined to let go of that apparent nonsense and proceed with the divorce as a reasonable person would. My outspoken assertiveness had received its comeuppance. I told only my sister, who pleaded with me to find a different attorney, to tell everyone to go on a counteroffensive. The way I saw it, I had a life to live, and to live it I needed to focus on my responsibilities and obligations and stir in good times as I could find them, which I did, ask Molly Mack. Endure the requisite year until the divorce was final. Refusing to recognize the threats as threats became the denial both my sister and I grew to depend on. I hid the guns from Sam when we first split. Then, in the midst of breaking free from a marriage gone bad, I came around, calmed down, became reasonable, and kept quiet. I would not be hysterical. I reasoned his threats away. I took the gun he used to kill me out of hiding and gave it back to him.